My name is Dave Gilchrist. I'm the principal investigator of the experiment that you see behind me, which is actually the second generation of experiments designed to determine whether or not one can use transgenes specifically identified to suppress the symptoms of Pierce's disease in plants in the presence of the bacterium. The first generation of these experiments was conducted beginning in 2010 that were designed to determine whether or not specific genes that we had identified that would suppress the symptoms of Pierce's disease could be incorporated into plants, into grape plants, and then these inoculated plants could be evaluated for their ability to express the symptoms of Pierce's disease. This experiment was begun in 2010 and concluded in about a year ago. We did identify 5 genes which in fact when incorporated into grape plants that would in fact alter the expression of the Pierce's disease symptoms. We then decided that we would combine these genes in combinations of 2, and we would transform them into, or combine them into rootstocks, and there are 2 adapted rootstocks which we're using at the present time. So combinations of pairs of genes previously shown to be capable of suppressing Pierce's disease were then incorporated into these rootstocks, onto which were grafted untransformed Chardonnay scions. The objective, of course, is to determine whether or not these signals from the genes in the rootstocks will in fact move to the scions themselves and protect the untransformed scions from symptoms of Pierce's disease. The experiment behind me is in fact being planted today, and we are now into the August 1 of 2018. So these plants will be then trained as commercially trained plants. We will have them evaluated for yield as well as any of the phenotypes associated with Pierce's disease. The yield determination will in fact reflect whether or not there's any benefit from having these genes in the rootstocks relative to the untransformed scion. So the long-term goal is simply to find out whether or not the genes that we've put in combinations, 2 at a time, into these adapted rootstocks will in fact protect an untransformed native Chardonnay scion. That's the long-term goal of the experiment. It will probably be about 3 to 4 years before we will have any data, but these plants will in fact be trained as commercially grown grapes would be and managed in the same way.